YouTube.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Mindful Leadership podcast with my wonderful co-host, Natasha Rocha. Hey, Natasha.
Hello, everyone.
I was thinking, in case people don't know us, should we do a quick introduction? So used to everyone just knowing, you must know me. I'm Jon Binnie. You must know Natasha.
You go first.
Okay.
I'll let you lead that.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Jon Binnie. I'm a spiritual psychic mentor here in Scotland, not that far away from Natasha. And I offer a range of services for your mind, body, and soul, including quantum psychic healing for past, present, and future lives, energy healing, helping you with your life purpose, helping you activate your superpowers. Also offer business mentoring, and I do a lot of live streams, about 5 hours a week. So check me out on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays on YouTube. Oh, and Wednesdays. Here I am.
There you are. Absolutely. That's wonderful. And I think you can start putting influencer into that title as well, being online that long as well, which is wonderful.
A job title I was never sure of. Okay, your turn, Natasha.
Okay. So I'm in transition right now, which is beautiful. So I'm an Akashic Records, I suppose, say frequent visitor, I usually say, but I'm a global expert in Akashic Records. And I too offer sessions for life, for business, and for career. And I've got this wonderful program that I've created to help people and to help business integrating mindful leadership. And the 12-week program is quite incredible because it looks at life, career, and business. And the whole focus of it is to support health and joy and vitality. And I'm wanting to bring in conscious business to the world because the world is shifting. And yeah, it's supporting that. So I do all sorts of metaphysical stuff, but I've started focusing on the Akashic Records, not only through sessions, through these beautiful mindful masterclasses. But yeah, I also do a lot of meditations online, and you've inspired me to be more online. So I do a Tuesday live as well. And hopefully be doing more lives, but I do a lot of meditations that I have and a lot of 21-day challenges, which you'll find on my YouTube channel as well.
Exciting. Wow.
Yes.
Very cool. and I'm sure we'll cover some of those topics as well as we chat further today.
Absolutely.
And hello to everyone in the live chat, and also if you're watching a replay, hello, thank you for watching.
Hello. Yes.
So today's subject is not in the title, and it's not below me either. We were going to explore a bit more about creating your own reality, and I'm sure money will come up in that as well. Well, you came up with the subject. Well, you came up with the subject about creating a reality. Where would you like to start? I was really interested in, you started talking a bit about your transition, and I love that about you because there's this feeling of like constant change and evolution, but Absolutely. It doesn't feel out of lack. You feel like, as you described, what you're changing towards there is this pulling you. It's like, come on, Natasha, hurry up. Like your future is pulling you, like, come on, you can do it.
Absolutely.
And that really fascinates me as well about Akashic Records work, because it often is the future pulling you. Whereas often we think of the present, right? And we think, I'm going to have a big house and a big car and a perfect partner and a little dog called Patch. Like you choose all these things that you'd have looking forwards. But yeah, I think I'm leading up to a question, which is, how did you go about creating your current reality, Natasha?
Okay. And you're absolutely right. And I think that I used to go from kind of like needing to push and to create. So it was very much kind of like, and we still need to action everything. But when I started moving into more of a spiritual kind of like based understanding, or a spiritual life, and actually living it, not understanding, like, because you could understand it. So in theory, I know that, this is how it works, but I wasn't embodying that. And then it's kind of like, I was like, I've been meditating for 3 weeks. Okay, where's the results? So it's that action, reaction, action, reaction. So they're like, you look, one, you're either looking for it in the wrong place, or two, it's about a collaboration that's happening. And in my transition right now, like you say, I've been pulled towards it. So this year has been a big year for me to do kind of deep inner healing. And it's just amazing how things unfold. And when you say yes to, this is the most expansive part of me, yes, I want to create this, yes, you know, I want to do something, where you have an idea. So there's two ways that I've realized that this happens. So you might have an idea in your head, this is what I want to do. And what starts happening is the universe starts to kind of like collaborating. It starts ripping away everything that's not in alignment with that. So friends, career, homes, relationships start to fall away because it's not in alignment with that vision that you hold. And when you're holding that vision, you're actually holding that frequency within yourself. And that starts to magnetize towards you that image, right? It starts to magnetize to you that reality. For me, this year has been a little bit different in the sense of the pull. So I had a student of mine who's been saying to me, she lives in India, and she's a friend. She's a lot more than just a student. I see her as an equal now. I feel that is success as a teacher, is when your students become your equals, or become more than you, or different, or expansive in their way.
Yeah.
And she said to me, Natasha, you need to come and do an ancestral healing, an Akashic ancestral healing here in Mumbai. And I said to her, what? I was like, you want me to teach Akashic records to the place that, you know, brought Akashic records to the West, like that was doing Akashic records well before anybody else was doing? And she's like, yeah. And literally within an hour, like everything, like the plans all fell into place. So that flow, that's when I'm like, okay, so now this is the opposite. This is the pull that's happening now. So I'm like, okay, this is an alignment. This is super exciting. What is going to come of it? So that's the other way, where you don't have the end vision, but you know that's something, you're being transformed or being called to a higher purpose. So off I went to India, and this beautiful kind of like, it was so amazing. We actually had a heart surgeon, one of the best in South India, actually attend the course, and a bunch of beautiful engineers and chartered accountants. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, connect the conscious business. This is the future of the world, right? So I thought that was beautiful, but still not knowing what it was, but, you know, looking out for the signs and things, you know, what was showing up for me, what were the lessons, what were the conversations that were coming in, and what was India telling me. So then I got back, and then I was doing an Akashic Records session for this incredible young man. And he said, I want to change the world. I'm going to change it. I'm going to go into politics. And the message was, you can't change it in politics. You need to change the companies that, you know, control the politics. That's where you start to change it. It's not necessarily. And then I thought, okay, this leadership thing is going to start coming in. And that's where the leadership kind of like activations that I had in India. And then fast forward a few months later, I got invited to go do a leadership. It was the world indigenous leaders met in Colombia to talk about this prophecy of the condor and the eagle, which is the mind and the heart, and how disconnected we are. And if we don't connect these, like, it's the end of humanity, you know, kind of a thing. So I was very lucky, because usually they only invite indigenous elders from North and South America, but they opened it up. So there was the aspect of grounded leadership that fell in. Again, I didn't know why I needed to be there, you know, but it all started to unfold. So this is where I got pulled into it. And then I already have a program, a 12-week program. And they're like, okay, now you need to start approaching not only people that are starting their business, because a lot of us that are going through an awakening, we get kind of like squeezed out of our environments, but really actually starting to help businesses to embody this concept of mindful leadership, of looking at business from a conscious perspective, whether it's suppliers, whether it's clients, whether it's their staff, whether it's their products and services. So that really excites me. And then I went through like, can I do this? can I go stand on stage and do this? Because it pushed me out of my comfort zone. So in that case, everything, all my limitations surfaced so that I could work through them. And that's how I got pulled into this. Okay, now let's step back into the corporate world, which is so interesting. You were just coming out of it. And I'm like, what do you mean you want me to go back into it again? I've been out of it for 5 years. So now I'm like, how do I actually speak the same language? You know, in the sense of now I'm translating everything back into that, which is so interesting. But that was a full and unfolding of this new space that I find myself in now.
Oh, that's
Does that
fabulous.
answer your question?
Yeah. It feels very expansive, and I feel that that pull. So exciting. I must admit, as you said, did you say 8 weeks? An 8-week program for helping people, like, for instance, start a business. Some of my explorations into my first explorations into business mentoring was just I knew I had a lot of experience in business, but working for other people. And then at the time, I just finished my first year of this business, so I'm now a year and a half in my own business, and I felt like, what I know now would have really helped John a year and a half ago. What I know now is gold dust to him. And I was thinking, I don't need to wait for when I consider to be myself successful. And yet I guess that kind of was a thing. It was like, I think I wanted to pass my first year. And then what I did was I just defined this service, and it's like, well, I'm going to help mentor people. And I just thought of all the things that I enjoy doing. I thought of, talking to their soul, looking at their soul blueprint, looking at their mission here in this life. What are the things they enjoy? Talking to the human, the higher self, the soul, their spirit guides, going to their future, going to their past, helping with their shadows, and then help them create like the first website, and then just get their services up and running. And I currently offer it in like 5 sessions in 2 weeks. And it's literally zero to having a running business. And it's really funny as I say that. It feels a bit like it's like that joke, the whatever it is, the 12-minute abs. So I've got a new program, 6-minute abs. It's like it doesn't doesn't really matter how fast you do these things, but the approach I found really exciting, because I just wanted to just try it. I tried it with 3 people for free. And I was like, I love this. This is a lot of fun. And it's I feel one of the things about conscious business is that the tightly coupled interconnection with our lives, with our happiness, our health, our joy, with business, which is, like you're saying, that mind and heart disconnection that we have in the world. When you bring them together, it's quite a shocking revelation. It was to me, and it took me quite a while. I guess it took me until coming up for about November last year when I started to realize how intertwined they are. When I was visiting my old friends at Amazon, my last company I worked for, just a couple of weeks ago, they were asking me, how do I price a service? And I said, well, I just go, first of all, I allow the ideas to constantly come to me, the inspirations. And then when they come to me, I just go on my website and I create the outline. I kind of sit there and meditate a bit and talk to my heart. And I ask myself, what are the things I would enjoy doing, that I love doing, put into service, offer it to someone for free, see if I enjoy it. And if it's good, feels good, I just price it. And then people do or don't buy it. And that for me was just felt so different to the way I'd ever done any work in the past, because it always felt, previously it'd be like, oh, you need to look at your competitors. What are they pricing? What are they doing? Are you doing, 5-minute abs? You need 4-minute abs. It's like, no, that doesn't feel right. There must be a new way of exploring business that's far more heart connected than the, I guess I'd describe traditional business today as just money focused, which is quite bizarre when you think about it.
Yeah, I agree with you so much in the sense of like when my business feels like it's a little bit kind of like it's not, if it's not flowing as I feel that it needs to be, or if it's feeling, I don't like to use the word stuck, but it's usually that's the time to go in and go, okay, what isn't in alignment, and what is going within me that is not flowing. And you're absolutely right in that it's a reflection. Of our inner, what we're feeling inside is our outer reflection, and usually if you're that CEO or you that leader, that will be reflected in your team. So if we don't have within ourselves a clear idea of what the offering is, it's just going to create confusion for everybody. So I'm working on my communication in that sense, especially kind of going back to corporate and saying, okay, like how do I speak that same language in a way that those that are in alignment will be attracted. And that's the other thing, when we start moving in there into the space of collaboration, it's frequency. What is the frequency match of our suppliers, our clients, our team, our business? Because the Akashic records of the business has this blueprint, it has its roadmap, right? And teaching people to align to it. So how beautiful would it be if every department aligned to that vision of the blueprint of that business that has been created. And we talk about our businesses being babies, and they are, because they have their own blueprint. They are a living, breathing entity, I suppose, that is out there. And you're absolutely right in the sense of we've been so conditioned to look at financial wealth. We're not looking at time wealth, health wealth, all the rest of that. And the concept of slowing down in order to speed up is also another one that we're working through, because we're so used to being busy that we hit this hamster wheel. And it becomes especially hard when you absolutely love what you do, because you just want to get in there. But it's almost kind of like that heart aligned way of approaching businesses, I find very interesting. And you'll end up finding solutions or creating products and services that didn't exist, because you're activating that blueprint by connecting into your heart, which you're connecting into the Akashic field anyway, in that sense, to allow that to unfold, right? And I find that beautiful. And I like the way you price your services, because again, I also don't look at the competition, because so you and I are selling a business product, right? It really doesn't matter, because we will service different people. It's like, I remember when I first started teaching Akashic records, my mom was like, how can you do that? You're going to people are going to start doing it. They're going to take away. I was like, they're going to take away your business, and I was like, they're not going to take away my business. Oh my goodness. If I could, I don't have the physical capacity to service those many people. And not only that, energy frequencies will resonate with different people, and they will help the people that they meant to help.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why we collaborate, because it's almost kind of going, oh, wait a minute, John's doing this amazing stuff. Like, I'll send people to you for clearing. So I'm like, nope, don't want to deal with that. Don't want to do it. And you're absolutely brilliant at it. So I'm like, no, I have this, reach out to John kind of a thing, because you enjoy doing that as well. Right. Whereas I'm like, there's a bit of that resistance. And talking about enjoyment, one of the questions I get asked all the time is, am I on purpose? And a lot of the times in the Akashic records is, do you enjoy what you do? Are you following your joy? Are you following your excitement? If you are, then you're on purpose. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. We have a question,
Okay.
which is from Marit, TY1CY. If we are to start a business, we have to have gone through hardships in some way to be able to take our leap into some kind of spiritual helping, or can we be without?
You want to go first?
Thanks. Yeah, it's really fascinating. I would say you don't our lives are full of hardships. In fact, one thing I learned in this work is everyone's life is like saturated in hardships. So you kind of get that for free, especially at this time, just being a human on Earth. So what I would say for there are many people that go through triggers, if you like triggering situations that, awaken them or activate them into wanting to inspiring them to find a new way. And it might be they earn loads of money and it becomes very lackluster. And that was like me when I worked at Amazon. It's like, wow, I earned some years I was earning money that I just didn't know what to do with. It's like, oh, we could buy another car, and oh, we could buy a big motorhome, and we just did. And then it was so unfulfilling. And so you could argue it's not a traditional hardship to have too much money, right? But you just kind of, the hardship for me was this difficulty of like, I just losing my way, just my heart was not in what I was doing. And I feel like to the point of spiritual helping or, in service to others, the good news is I feel we're all unique, right? And that means all our experiences are unique. And we also have unique superpowers. And we all get this opportunity in our lives to go on a journey of exploring all those aspects of us. And really, there's likely no one else offering exactly what you can offer. So you don't need to get hung up about, I need to do a thing. I need to, even my job title I give myself now as a spiritual psychic mentor, it's like, I'm still not entirely sure what that is, but it just feels right for now. And I'll probably promote myself at some point. Like, you don't need to conform. And as we were discussing earlier, the exploration is beautiful. And I started my current business just doing it once or twice a week for about 4 years as a hobby, in addition to my day job. My day job, as you were saying, Natasha, started to fall away. It's like, I'm going to go part-time with the day job, 5 days to 3 days, and start doing a bit more. And I explored more things of reflexology, Swedish massage, Indian head massage, qualified in those, meditation teaching. And it's like, yeah, and I do like those things. They're a lot of fun. And now focus more on the psychic work. And it's, I guess, to fully answer the question is, you don't need to wait. It's you can start right now and start absolutely as a hobby. And first, my strongest advice is like, feel into, like, do you enjoy it? Because no one is going to, like Natasha and I, we can't turn around. We'd literally be turning to a mirror and saying, I'm unhappy with the work I'm doing. It's, you have to be able to face yourself each day and say, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about today. How about you, Natasha?
Yeah, absolutely. That's some great advice. And thanks for asking the question to us. So absolutely, it's like Jon says, it's following that joy and that excitement. And it's true, we don't escape this lifetime without any hardship. I mean, this is a planet of learning. This is a planet of cycles. And I believe that we choose our parents. We choose the themes that we've come to explore in this lifetime. And I usually tend to find that who we're here to support when we do go into a spiritual business is the person that we were 2-3 years ago. That is your ideal client, because you've actually gone through all of that. You've grown through all of that. You've experienced all of that, but you also hold the frequency of that trauma. So you'll start to notice, and I don't know if you've noticed this as well, Jon, is that when you're going through something within your own personal life, you'll actually start attracting a lot of people that are going through the same thing. And a lot of the advice that you're giving people as the channeled advice is also channeled for you as well. Or it's people that, again, have gone through what you've gone through. So you have a healed frequency within your being, and you'll be the people that are attracted to you or look to you or hold the same frequencies are usually the same traumas that you've experienced in some way or another, right? So it is both. So one, it's like whatever you enjoy is what you're really good at, and that is your gift. So exploring into that, or helping people who have gone through what you've already been through, tends to be usually what is the basis for starting a new business. But like Jon says, don't wait, because a lot of the times we avoid, we sabotage, we go, oh, I just need one more course. Oh, I just need this, because we're in that space of, I need to validate, I need to prove myself. And what we say is, some people say, oh, I'm not ready to get into the spiritual business. And it's almost kind of like, you will attract the clients that are at your frequency, that are ready for your knowledge, your wisdom. And some clients will push you, expand you, because you need that, you're ready for that. But you always attract, again, we're constantly magnetizing to us where we're at. So, the right people will come to you at the right time. So if we're wanting to change our client, we have to change our frequency. That is the other thing as well. We like, I'm getting called to step up. So all these limitations are coming up for me. And I'm like, okay, just move through them, breathe through them. Let's do this. It's okay. Whatever it might be. And then once you start doing a lot of this work, you start going, okay, bring it. Let's see. Where is the limitation? Where's the limiting belief? What past life did it start in? And okay, let's look at a future life where I've overcome it, and then bring in those codes or that knowledge and that wisdom. I hope that helps. Oh, that's supportive.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I definitely resonate with that. I wanted to touch on talking about the version of ourselves a few years ago, like 2-3 years ago. I back then I would watch a podcast like this, and I'm like, oh, that sounds exciting. And I'd be thinking, I bet they're really poor. I would literally think, I would be thinking, how do they even make money, these people? Like, because they don't seem to talk about it much. And I think it's quite a shocking contrast, right? Because there's good reason why I talk a lot less about money. And it's not because I earn less, it's because it's less important. And I always used to index on or exaggerate the importance of money in my life. And then when you just give yourself more money, you realize it's just this kind of bizarre abstract. We're not even very good at it as a measure of value, that it's not as important as all the other things. And I was also faced with some really tough questions about how much money I should earn. And I kept asking my wife, just like, I don't know, like, well, as much as we need, like, well, how much do we need? Well, I don't know. And that went on for months. and even with an accountant and a financial advisor, like, the most bizarre thing is no one can tell you how much money you need, and also how you will, continue to expand. And I'd feel, all I would say in a nutshell about money is, it's important to have a happy, healthy relationship with it. And I felt the real secret in abundance is being happy with what you have right now. Because if you're not happy right now, just throwing money at it will make the problem lightly bigger, right? So if you have a money wounding deeply connected in your solar plexus and your heart, lack of self-worth, fear of not enough, feel of being rejected by the world, or being out on the street and living under a bridge, that's what I kept bizarrely worrying about. If someone had said to me, Jon, it's all going to be okay, in fact, you're going to earn about the same amount as your salary at Amazon doing this work, I'd think they're nuts. I know that first thing I'd ask is, well, that must be awful. You must have to work so many hours, Jon. It's like, no, I do bookings 3 days a week, plus a live stream on a Monday, and the rest of the time is flexible family time to receive. And I felt that was a really shocking experience for me, coming from a world who's so money obsessed. Does your product make money, Jon? And it's like, literally, in other words, we don't care about you, your family, your team, the things that you're doing for customers in the world. Isn't making money. And it's like, why is that? When did that become everything? Because I know that if I change my focus right now to only money, it would create really bizarre behaviors in me. Maybe I'd put up all my prices. Like, what does that achieve? I don't know. It's just like, it would change me and my mission very differently. How's your journey been with money, Natasha?
Yeah. So one of the Yeah. So with money, when I shifted into starting to be of service on a conscious way, what I actually did was I worked out what my salary was, how many sessions I wanted to do through the week, and I thought, okay, how much do I have to charge per each session? Is how I started off with, and I've absolutely, I've grown through that. I'm moving through kind of like the belief systems of scarcity. Was that one thing, because it's all about our belief systems, which is why I created the 21 days to release limiting beliefs. Is where is the belief system that's coming in? What is that frequency? Because you're constantly magnetizing that towards you. So where is that moving from survival to thriving in that sense? And I think the hardest part for me is almost trusting in the universe has your back, especially when you have to pay the bills, especially when you have to do all of that. Is just there's knowing that you will be provided for, which becomes quite important from that perspective. And it's like, I've used this example before, where my children are fortunate enough to have 3 meals if they want them. So I usually do a sit around the table for dinner, usually at about 5:30, and they know that dinner will be there at 5:30. It's not even a belief, it's not a trust, it's just they know dinner will be there at 5:30, and they don't know what it is, but they know it will be there. Right. So it's almost that shifting from that believing, which is understanding it, to embodying that trust, that as you're moving through the flow, you'll start to attract those opportunities towards us, which is important. And you're right. I used to say that if money were your friend, what would your relationship be like with them? And that usually tends to bring up all the limiting beliefs, all the, how do we feel towards them? Are we like, money is bad? What is the belief system? It's like, how do you start to build that relationship with that frequency that is there? Because, and the other thing that I say is, God, creator, source, like, we're spoiled brats, right? And we're always being told yes. So if you're saying to yourself, money is hard to get, yes, it is. If money is the root of all evil, yes, it is. If I love money and money loves me, yes, it does. So it's one of those things where it's almost kind of like, that is how we create our reality. So it's beautiful to really get curious around that and start looking at, okay, what is that is holding me back? What is that belief system as well? And when it comes to doing light work, it's also, there's a belief system, an old belief system, that you shouldn't charge for your services because it's a gift. And I remember doing that once, where I in Canada, when I first started working, and I was just trying to get used to charging for Reiki, and somebody paid me in a check, and I went in and I gave the teller my check to put into my bank account, and she went, because I think it said the services on there somewhere, and she said, "Oh my God, you're charging this? I do it for free because it's a gift." And I was just like, I need to deal with that, kind of a thing. It's like, there is a mirror kind of like in your face. And I thought, you know what? Even if I didn't train for this, I trained, I invested, I've changed my life to be of service. And we're having a human experience. We need to put on the lights. And where is my self-worth and my self-value, right? In that. But it was just amazing how society has these judgments, and how they'll bring them up for you to heal them within yourself, which is beautiful, right?
Yeah, that's so powerful. I had a client say this week to me, Jon, you're inspiration to me, Jon. You're always booked for months, so I just need to be booked for months to solve my abundance problems. It's like, no, because do you know what happens when you book for months? Everyone gives you their money for those bookings if that's the way you charge up front.
Yeah.
And then what? And then you're like, well, now you have to keep paying your bills. And so do you like keep that money aside? Do you take some of the money? Do you keep enough aside for if everyone canceled? What happens every month? Because we also have these still these ingrained things programmed within us, right? And I love I love how you describe, knowing that dinner's on the table. That feeling is like we still have these cycles of days, weeks, months, years, which we're used to kind of measuring our income on. And I found that really fascinating as well, was that it, just like lottery winners often go bankrupt really fast, it's learning that the money and the number of bookings you have, if you offer a service that you allow bookings for, or people on trainings courses, whatever it is that you're offering to others, it doesn't really matter how many you get, because it never mattered how much money you have in your bank account. That's never a measure of your feeling of abundance, and that really a feeling of rich and feeling financially abundant. They're all feelings that no one can give you a number and say, "Would that, okay, will this number make you feel happy?" And you're like, "Well, I think it might be happier, or maybe I'm happy for a while, or I could try it out and see what happens." The universe will keep saying yes to all those things. Really, I feel whenever you're just given tons of money, and that's always happened in my life, when a lot comes to me, the shadows rise up to meet it. They're like, here's your abundance, and here's the wound that you still haven't fixed. You've been avoiding it, haven't you? It's like, oh, okay, I'll go and face it.
But that's exciting as well, because that gets to know who you are. You get to heal that for the generations from before and the generations that are still yet to come. So your children and your grandchildren, and that's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I must admit, you probably heard me say this before. My son said, when we announced to our family of 4 that that I was leaving Amazon and starting my own company, my son said famously, well, he was like 15 at the time, and he thought, well, he said, we probably won't run out of money before then, so I can leave home before we have to sell the house.
Oh my goodness.
And then a year into it, I said, I just said, look, we're fine. It's going really well. It's going exponentially better than I could have imagined. I remember him saying, I mean, who would have thought that? That's seemingly impossible. And I said, well, I do feel at the very heart of all this is that we're put on the earth with a mission, with a reason, and with with our own unique superpowers. And if this kind of construct of the universe didn't want us to succeed, then a lot of what our fears tell us would come true. And the reality is that there's this overwhelming support for you that's conspiring to help you succeed. And it's doing the things you love. It's using the superpowers you developed. It's facing those fears that you've gained. And those, absolutely agree, those ancestral wounds. Wow, my parents and their parents' money was just a massive wound, and really would never want to talk about it, let alone public on a podcast.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. We have one more question here. It's from Mary. So she says, how do you deal with difficult staff members, i.e. tardiness and absenteeism?
Do you want to go first?
How would you do? No, you go first.
Let me go first.
Tap into the records for that.
So I would say there's a slight wounding for me, right? Which is I spent since my early 20s, I've been a people manager. I was pretty good at it. And for the vast majority of the time, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this 1.5 years of managing nobody. However, the world is changing, and so this kind of hierarchy that I was used to in the past is now very different. I feel now when I look into next year and I look at my 8 years of predictions videos, this whole world shifts, and it becomes much more like Natasha and I working together than it is, either of us being the boss of each other. That would be so bizarre. And same with people, as you were touching on, like students and clients and people we teach and train. Everyone has their own unique superpowers, and they all kind of rise up. We all equally rise up together. I'd say at the very heart of it, Natasha mentioned this in business, and there's loads of studies, right, that research that backs this up, is that companies that choose a single focus, so they might have a single mission that just makes sense. It might be a set of leadership principles, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. it's that kind of run to the hill ideology where you just choose a single focus, and it doesn't matter what you choose, you talk about it each day, and everyone's always focused on that thing that you're doing. And so for me, helping support people through their spiritual awakening journeys, and one of my preferences is into scale, into helping, thousands and one day millions of people. And yet there's so many choices that you get to make. And so if you're working in a company, Mary, or you run your own company that doesn't have a clear vision about what it is you want to do and how that feels, then you'll attract in people that don't align with that. And some people that are already in the company that are kind of not in full alignment with it will have some challenges. So that's like the very first thing. And they've got to want to enjoy doing it, right? If you enjoy doing advertising in cool and unusual ways for your clients, fantastic. If you don't enjoy advertising, don't do it, right? Yeah. The other aspect is just having really clear boundaries. And that's been a big journey for me as well. So things like, although I don't manage people now, I used to have to clock watch people for coming into companies. And I realized probably in the last 5 years, there's no need to clock watch people. Just make sure they're fully aligned and tell them what the expectation is so they know that they have to be in for 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. And then when exception patterns arise, when you talk to them, go and talk about the mission and talk to them about their family and their health. Don't talk about the time first. Why are you 5 minutes late? Right? That's the wrong way of approaching it. Yeah. Now, I do have strong boundaries, and I've got a lot on my website describing them, that if you turn up late, there's no refund. You can cancel within up to 36 hours ahead of a session. And then once I've stated that, I just tend to treat every single interaction case by case. So I've set up my boundaries. I know how they feel good for me. And then when someone doesn't turn up for a session, I often just take it into context. I'll look at their booking form, what's going on in their lives. I don't just go, that's it. Like I'm taking your money and running. And quite a lot of the time, I tend to be lenient as long as it's in alignment, as long as it feels in alignment. And there's not emerging patterns, because sometimes these emerging patterns across many people will be one of your shadows coming up. And I feel boundaries is just such a hard lesson to learn. When you're in service to others, you want to help other people. You're the empath. You're the psychic. You're psychically super astute, and you know how painful it is for people when you implement your boundaries. And yet if you don't do, you'll burn yourself out and you'll just stop. You'll be exhausted within, I think I would have lasted 3 or 4 months and would have fizzled out. I'll be back in software. How about you, Natasha?
Yeah, no, there's some very good, valid points over there. And there's quite a few ways of looking about it. And I agree with John in the sense of actually find out what's going on behind there. Like what is causing the absenteeism? What is causing the tardiness? And again, connecting into the blueprint of your business will have a contract with each and every one of your employees, with your staff members, and because there's a spiritual contract between them, because you're bringing in certain things. The other thing so it's good to explore that. And I have a lot of businesses that come and talk to me when they're in the hiring process, for example, if these people are aligned, if they're not, what they bring, what they don't, how do I motivate this person, how do I not? But if there's a sense of where it's getting to that space of tardiness, yes, it's good to have good boundaries, but it's also good to go in and say, okay, like John says, investigate what is happening in your life right now. What is causing the tardiness? What is causing the absenteeism? Because it might be that you're expecting somebody to work from 9 to 5, but their brain works really, really, really well at 10 o'clock at night. That's when they're in their most creative. That's where they're in their flow. That's where that is, the best possible time for them to be working. So for example, I have a client of mine, she's a late night person, her brain kicks in the afternoon. So she actually ends up working extra late because she doesn't feel like she's giving her best the first 3 hours of the day, because she has to be there at 9. Her brain doesn't feel like it's in flow. So it's really about, finding out what is the root cause of this, because if you think of it if your business were a person, the tardiness and the absenteeism could be a discomfort or dis-ease that's happening within your body. And it's kind of like looking at, okay, how do I address this? And then sometimes, you know, how I said, like with John in the beginning, is like when you have a vision and you're going in one direction and people, you know, suppliers, products, services that aren't in alignment with that will start to fall away. So it's having a look at, okay, what is the root cause of this? And is this relationship, is this collaboration still in alignment with the business? Because it's not fair on you, it's not fair on the business, and it's not fair on those people either. And perhaps it's almost saying, okay, you're not happy where you're at. And it's having that honest conversation. Why aren't you happy? Why is this absenteeism? Because if it does have to do with work, then there's something in your department that needs to be taken care of or looked at, that is important. Perhaps it's a process. Perhaps it's your internal kind of like company culture. Maybe it's that is will give you so much information, and creating that safe space to have that conversation and going, okay, what's up, instead of people thinking. You'll get that honest feedback that will actually allow you to support your business or support the business or your department and those people as well. And there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, how can I help you find something that is more in alignment? Because that is a conscious way of doing that, whether it's in your department, in another department, in your company, or somewhere else. But you want people that are moving in the same direction as you. But tardiness and absenteeism is either something that's happening on their personal, which is also sometimes we draw people towards us because whatever they're going through might be reflected in the business as well. And that's why it's surfacing for you. So there's many ways to look at it multidimensionally, but I would get curious and investigate it, not from a place like John says of blame, but from a place of curiosity. What is going on with you? Yeah. Right. I hope that helps.
Yeah, definitely. I remember first thing I'd always ask someone, I'd meet them once a week, one of my team members. And sometimes I think up to about 70 people, not in every, I wouldn't do them all in a week, sometimes over 2 weeks. But the first question I always ask is, how are you? How are you feeling? And it's just so simple. And it just made such a difference because it was lovely. I loved that part of the job. And you just get to talk and you talk about what's going on and how they're feeling about the work and their life. And people will tell you if you ask. And if every time I went in guns blazing, you know, like, you're late, you know, you're not doing enough work, or whatever it was when I was a bit more naive, it always just caused more problems. But love that. Thank you, Natasha.
Absolutely. Do we have any other questions there?
Yeah, I think there was one, and there was another one from Marit. We ought, it says, this is from 1028, we ought, I feel, to be brave in telling what we have encountered. It is not our shame, but the society's which confronts us, and our task is the telling, ?
Yeah, I think it's important to talk about the things that you're going through as well. It shows the human aspect of you as well. And it also allows you, again, if you approach it with a place of curiosity and wanting to understand, I think it is absolutely important. And I think that's one of the biggest things, is moving through the limitations of what will people think, what will society think, right? When I know that I went to great extremes. Like when I first went into my spirituality, I actually created a whole new Facebook account, a whole new one, like another identity, because I was embarrassed about what would people think of this side of me. There was this shame where it wasn't logical, or, you know, and some of the people that, you know, were in my group were like doctors and all sorts of things. So I found it that when I first went into it, and then this is one of the most profound things that the father of my daughter said to me. I said to him, you know, I'm going into this world, I'm choosing it, and we might lose some friends. And Steve turned around and said, well, are there really friends worth having?
Yeah.
You know, if they can't accept that side of you, and that will stick with me always. And doing this work further, I've started realizing that we're not for everybody.
Yep.
And if you shine your unique light out there, you will attract the right people, the right relationships, the right partners, the right collaborations if you're authentically you. Those that are not in alignment will fall away, and that's okay. It's being okay with that.
Yeah.
That is important, in knowing that we're not for everybody and not everybody's for us as well. So yes, dealing with society, and that's something I'm still dealing with in different aspects on deeper layers. So yeah, I think that's a great question to ask.
Yeah, definitely.
How about you?
Yeah, there's some of these shameful aspects, especially as we change. We go through some sort of awakening journey, or maybe our heart's just not in the work we're doing, and we're shifting so dramatically in our careers. I had experiences of like extended family members ridiculing me at family events. Like, what are you doing? You're an idiot type conversation. And I, to begin with, there was often silent, not just one person, but a few people, and they were silent on social media and things. And then eventually I was like, if you're going to treat me like that in purpose, if you're going to treat me like that in person, I'm going to block you on social media too. So I'm not going to talk to you in that conversation, and I'm not going to have you on my social media. I just don't need you there, and I don't care how we're related. And that really helped me as well. So I'm like, I just started to create these boundaries. I'm like, you know what? It's because we often find it the hardest with the people closest to us. And sometimes they need time, right? They need time because you go through this huge explosion of a change, transformation in your life. And they're like, where is all this going, John? What are you becoming? It's like, I don't know what I'm becoming. I knew what I used to be, and I didn't like that. And I like this now, and this feels great. And I'm just following my joy. And you're either on that journey with me or not. And so for those who are not, for the times that they weren't, I blocked them. And then after a while, I would just see, well, maybe we'd have some conversations later as the months and years went by. And it's like, well, I'm blocking now. And it's the funniest thing to share, because they would sometimes ask, oh, I don't see your do you still writing songs? Wouldn't see your songs every day, John. It's like, well, after our last conversation, I did block you. And they're like, oh, well, that explains it. And I did quite like the music. And it's like, well, I'll unblock you and let's see how it goes. But now right? And I always used to be so confrontational. If someone misbehaved on comments and social media, etc., I would want to engage in some sort of conversation, like the kind of manager, like, you can't speak to me like that. I'm going to block you if you do that again. And now it's like, there's just no point in that conversation. Just block people, or, there's often something that's some of that societal shame that comes up for every troll, automated or not, that appears in our comments and live chats, and maybe even the odd time books a session with us. There's that feeling of society kind of projecting some of its insecurities onto you, and then you get an opportunity to react to it, and prove to the universe that you're done or not with that shame, fear cycle, whatever it is you're facing.
Actually, I had one of those last week that I phoned John. I'm like, how do you deal with this? Right? I'm like, I believe in freedom of speech, and everybody has their own opinion. So I'm like, do I delete this or do I just leave it? Because I wasn't going to engage in it either. But it's so interesting, because if we trigger somebody, it's their way to get their work done. So for me, I'm like, was I triggered by this? Yes or no? I was like, no, I'm not triggered, but how do I deal with this consciously? Right. And then luckily one of the people that watch my content was like, she's helped me a lot, but if she doesn't help you, just go find another channel. I was like, what a great answer. I was like, that is wonderful. But it's like, yeah, we're not for everybody, and getting comfortable with that. And I think that's one thing that I've taught my daughters, is that you don't need to like everybody. Not everybody needs to like you either. And it's getting comfortable with that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, some big things that really helped me have been, some people will kind of like truth dump all their truths into a huge comment on your video, and I always read them, and I was feeling to the energy behind it, the intention. And you know what? If someone's intention just feels good, I really don't care what they've written. It's their truths. I say, thank you so much for sharing your truths.
Yeah.
And I'm not there to judge or to argue or to, somehow grapple with that, the implications of it all being true and how that truth contradicts or not mine. And and if someone is, sometimes I also get people standing up for me as well in the comments, like people saying, Jon's predictions are really good, blah, blah. And I think the predictions are really fascinating because that can trigger a lot of people as well. It's like, how is this true? And it's like, we're going to find out. Like, we're all going to find out. You get to find out too. And just getting really comfortable with those boundaries. Because it's a scary place, but at least, we're not starting this work back in, it's not 20 years ago. Things have changed a lot, and the tools and controls are much easier now to keep things safer.
I love the predictions aspect of it, because when we're predicting, we're looking at probabilities that might change. So in some reality, that will come true.
Yeah.
Right. So the probability of that is pretty high or pretty low. But I also believe it's fascinating in predictions in that sense, because we live in multiple realities. So it depends on how much energy we give to that one thing. So like I started seeing kind of like during COVID was a great thing where I saw parallel realities running as with Atlantis.
Yeah.
It was just like, it was so close. And then some days I'd be like, oh, humanity's going one way. And then other days I'm like, no, we're good. It's kind of like throwing us into a parallel timeline or parallel reality. So it was awesome when it came to that. So I love predictions in that sense. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. We have another question, maybe our last question today. And this is from Our Shining Lights. Thank you for your question. You say, I've often thought about starting a YouTube channel. Yes.
That's
do
exciting.
You have any advice on stopping the negative ego that says I'm not good enough?
Yeah, that's a good question. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Ego sometimes gets a bad rep where we try and suppress our ego, but ego has its job for us in the space of like, it's just trying to keep us safe. So it's saying to your ego, look, I understand, that this is scary and that we're opening ourselves up to all sorts of energy, but come with me. Let's see what it's all about. Right? Just come with me. Just try it. Like expand your ego and say, okay, let's do it anyway. I've got you. I'm going to keep you safe. And then feel the fear and do it anyway. And you don't have to be perfect. That is what makes you human. That is what attracts you, the right people towards you. And that's important. And if nobody listens to your podcast, or just one person listens to your podcast, it is important, because if even at the worst case scenario that nobody listens to, which is not the case, you're still anchoring the vibrational frequencies of your words, your knowledge, your wisdom onto the planet. And that in itself is changing the frequency of the planet. And if you help just one person in all of that, that is the contract that you have with that one person. But if starting a YouTube channel excites you and expands you, do it. Don't hold back. It's just do it, and then tell Jon and I, and then we'll follow you. And we'll support you.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Just 1 second. Jon multitasking. I had Katya on my channel last week. It was her first podcast she's ever done, and she'd been commenting on my videos for some time, and I just felt this really powerful energy from her. And I just felt, I didn't know her, we'd never spoken, and I just said, if you're interested, email me, and we'll do a podcast together. And I got an email like 5 minutes later, and then I think it was booked within about an hour, and then we met like the next week, and it was just, there's this feeling where if you watch my videos, right, with me like a Monday wandering around the Hersel estate with my camera with a woolly hat, looking amazingly fetching in my middle age, cheap and not hugely attractive and very wet clothing. And yeah, just talking, just sharing my heart. No one can criticize you for sharing how you feel, your life experiences. You're the expert on all these things. And that's always been my go-to is never, if anything, this podcast makes me more nervous, right, than doing the psychic work, because this is much more from my mind, from the brain.
That's so true. We haven't spoken about that. And it makes them like, okay, what am I going to be speaking about? But then if you see, before we join the podcast, usually John and I like meditating, opening up the records of the podcast anyway, right?
Yeah. And I feel Natasha's advice is great. Like, just get started. And there's a few things you can do. You can turn off comments on your YouTube videos if you want, maybe for your first couple, even disable likes, or you don't disable them. I think you just hide, the number. And just by doing it, right, by taking that step forwards, it brings all those shadows and fears you have out into the light a bit more. And it's saying, okay, what am I really scared of? Maybe I'm scared. I remember receiving this in readings years ago, that I was scared of being famous. I was like, that is ridiculous. Me, I'm Jon Binnie, and yet, I had that experience today. There was some school kids. Sometimes local people will say hi to me and they'll know me from my YouTube channel. Or sometimes people come up and start talking to me. And the feeling I get is like, hang on, I'm Hermit John. I just do, online work. And then I go outside to pretend I'm just, nobody. And the reality is that was a bit of a journey for me. And now I get quite excited when I'm recognized, I guess you describe it as. And so just doing it, maybe start with one a week. Doesn't need to be loads. You don't even need to watch yourself, right? And don't worry about all the fancy microphones and all the things. Like, focus on how it feels. Do one and see how it feels, and ignore whatever people say. It's fine. Maybe you'll leave the comments, for a few days. Don't just keep going back and checking in.
I like that. That is really good. And I think that's the other thing when we get caught up in that is how many likes, how many people have commented, like what's happening, what are the numbers? And again, it's really, I'm like now starting to step back in that and going, it is what it is and what it needs to be.
Yeah.
Right. Which is important. Yeah. Are you like that as well? Or you do all like, because you get used to, like, we step back into that whole business mode. What are the analytics here? What's working? What's not working? When do we do?
I'm not
all the rest of that.
I'm not immune to it. One of the big things I noticed when I started doing predictions videos, suddenly I got a lot more subscribers. Suddenly I started getting a lot more comments, like 1,700 a month or 1,800 a month, which is a lot to respond to. And so that wasn't lost to me. But now I feel like I kept asking myself, do I enjoy doing it? It's like, and it's funny because just before I'm about to do a video, it's like, my heart's like, it's just such fun. It's like, I have no idea what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to say. And just going to ask. I'll just ask Mother Gaia and the sun and my spirit guys. I'll just ask, right? And I'm really the same with creating videos. I just reflect a little bit on the theme. And some I literally just hit record. I'm like, I'm walking in a street. And I just talk and have very little expectation. And what I would say is that remember that the algorithms, they're not optimized for changing this world. They're not optimized for how good you are at what you do. They're not the judge of you. They're actually focused on money and advertising revenue. So that's what they're focused on. So there's times you will intertwine and other times you'll drift apart from that alignment. And I'm not interested in, for instance, if I wanted to get more followers, I'd just start doing cover songs, right? Why waste my time doing my own songs? I would only do fear-based psychic predictions, right? The end of the world. And I would probably be putting up my prices and doing more sessions like that. That would be that's one choice. That's one series of choices. And for me, that's not really where my joy is. And I do feel that in time, we are teaching algorithms every time we turn up and we're ourselves right now. Hello to AI, because it's transcribing the video and then it's learning from the data, including the video data as well, from my YouTube channel. it's like we're kind of infecting with this world with our positivity and our love and our enjoyment of what we do, and helping gradually steer it away from just money. It doesn't just need to be about that.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
Well, we're up on time. Can we do a quick meditation? Whose turn is it?
I can't remember. Shall I go?
Okay.
I think it was you last time. And then let's go. I love your meditations. I'm being absolutely biased. Okay, let's go. Let's do an Akashic meditation around money. Okay. I'm going to get you all to close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. As you exhale, release the tension, the stress, or any negativity you might be holding on to. Feel the ground beneath your feet and open up those energy centers and allow that exchange of energy between you and Mother Earth. You might feel a slight pull. And as you connect into Mother Earth, you start connecting into the diamond white crystalline energy that sustains all life. And I invite you to bring that energy into your body and allow it to replenish, to replace, to nurture every cell within your body. And as it moves up into your body, you start to feel that you're connected to every living thing on this planet and the abundance that this planet offers. You are an extension of nature. And as you start feeling completely grounded and completely connected to Mother Earth, look up to the skies above you and bring in a gentle golden light into the crown of your head. Breathe that energy into your body and into your heart. See this light as a gateway, a shimmering doorway to pure consciousness, to the divinity that you already are. And it reminds you that you are part of this abundant cosmic energy, completely divine, completely human, all at the same time. Now I invite you to drop into your heart. And step into the Akashic field of your highest timeline. And you state the mantra, keepers of the Akashic records, please open and allow me access to the records of my highest timeline and create a safe and sacred space for our highest good and healing. And the records are now open, the records are now open, the records are now open. Feel your vibration increase and maximize to its highest potentiality. And as you move through the door, you feel yourself rising into the realm of pure clarity, where every possibility already exists. And as you step in your own unique records, you start to feel a presence approach you. This presence is calm, it's kind, and it's familiar. This is your Akashic guide of abundance. And as they move closer to you, they place one hand over your heart and they remind you that you were never meant to struggle. They remind you that abundance is your natural vibration. And they ask you to allow it to return. Accept this, give permission to this. Feel the words sinking into every single cell and remember that abundance and prosperity is your natural vibration. Just as the earth is abundant, just as the cosmos is abundant, these are aspects of you. You are abundant. And as you continue to remember this and embody this, your guide holds up a mirror of liquid light. And in it, you see every belief that you've carried that said, I have to work too hard, or money doesn't stay. I'm not ready to be famous. I'm not ready to be rich. Abundance is for others. Whichever beliefs arise for you, allow them, invite them. And as they rise, watch these beliefs dissolve like smoke. Feel the energy around your solar plexus and your root chakra start to expand. As you release these, they start to expand. And we affirm, I release all contracts of scarcity. I choose flow, I choose ease, and I choose overflow. Feel this. Receive this. Allow it. Give permission. And as this process continues, your guide hands you a sphere of shimmering emerald gold light. And you accept it with gratitude and you place it into your heart. And as it merges into your field, you start to feel stability in your root, confidence in your solar plexus, and clarity in your mind. And you start to trust your path. See this beautiful light moving through your body, your arms, your hands, symbolizing money earned through aligned actions and purpose-led work. And remember, I am a magnet for aligned wealth. Money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways. And before you, your Akashic field unfolds into two paths. One is dim, the life struggle you're leaving behind, and the other glows with gold and amethyst light, the timeline of abundance, balance, and joyful receiving, the timeline of health and vitality. And your guide nods towards the glowing path. Don't be afraid, step into it. And as you step onto this path, you feel your energy shift. You feel the reality around you start to reconfigure. Unconsciously, you choose this timeline where abundance is natural. This is the path that you walk now. And your guide places a final blessing in your forehead and in your heart. And they say to you, your abundance is already manifesting. Take aligned steps and trust the unfolding. And the golden doorway reappears, and you walk through it once more. And as you return gently into your body, your breath in this present moment, we give thanks and gratitude to the keepers of the records for the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that we have received today for this beautiful activation. And we know that balance, clarity, and money flow energy have already been activated. And you remember that you are worthy of abundance and balanced in your being, open to receiving wealth with ease and with grace. Take a deep breath and exhale. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Wow. As you spoke, I think you said the word something like, I am abundance, or the abundance already flowing. As you were saying those words, I could hear the voice of my guide like so loud, like your voice changed to there. It's like, wow, that was epic.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
And I just want to acknowledge a couple of comments that came up. So, because this was a fascinating one for me. Thank you, Angie. She says, I love your channel, Jon. The humor on your channel is great. Keeps us interested. You're definitely a mentor, but I consider you a master.
Oh, beautiful.
Just wanted to thank you for that. And also, I guess just highlight that it's also a bit of a, well, that's a journey for me, and perhaps a little bit of wounding, some shadows for me to face with, you know, at some point I know it's inevitable that I will call myself master. It just like I wasn't a kid. I was called Master Jon Binnie, right?
Awesome.
I love that full circle. And yeah, so I just want to say thank you, Angie. Thank you for your kind love and support, and thank you for that deep reflection for me to reconnect with. And
that's beautiful.
Angela Kia Hunter says, thanks, Natasha and Jon, for all that you do. You always cover such a wide variety of topics. Your videos and podcasts are both educational and entertaining. I love both of you are so down to earth. Woo!
That's awesome. Thank you, Angie. Angela.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. It's been such an honor to receive you today on our podcast. And it's early for a lot of you in the US and other time zones.
Absolutely.
And Natasha, how can people get in touch with you if they resonate with you and your energy?
Oh, thank you. So Raising the Vibes is the name of my company. So you'll find that on YouTube. You'll find the website. And if you want to reach out via email, it's just natasha@raisingthevibes.com. And yeah, I go live every Tuesday as well. That's how I am of service. In a different way. And yeah, check out my programs. I'd love to walk this journey beside you. How about you, Jon? Everybody knows you.
Everyone that knows Jon knows Jon. Yeah, Jon Binnie, jonbinnie.com, Jon Binnie on YouTube. And you can also find me on TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I post there daily, but YouTube's my favorite place because it allows me to talk for such a long time with these long videos. TikTok goes up to an hour now, but who watches a TikTok at an hour? Most people wouldn't even know that exists. So yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for coming along today, everyone. And thank you, Natasha. It's such an honor. And this podcast, unlike other videos I create or collaborate with, it's also available audio only across all the major streaming platforms, Apple, Amazon, and so much more. So feel free to look up the Mindful Leadership podcast. And yeah, excited. We've got more guests coming up soon. We've got them booked in. And if you're interested in becoming a guest on our show, just look at the link below. There's a now much easier page to fill out with your bio details, and we can have a chat. Great. Thank you so much. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you. Sending love. Bye.
Bye-bye.